Tonight, let's stay with a feeling almost everyone has had. A coincidence that feels personal. Not just interesting, but strangely aimed at you. Like the world is leaving you a note. You see the same number again and again. You think of someone, and they message you. You open a book, and a line lands too perfectly. You walk into a place, and a song appears at the exact wrong or right moment. And your mind does something automatic. It leans forward. It whispers, "Wait, what are the odds?" Tonight, we're not going to make it mystical. We're going to make it clearer. Because the real science here is quietly fascinating. And once you understand it, you start seeing your own mind differently. Here is the calm question we'll stay with. Why do coincidences feel like they have intention, even when they probably don't? Why does your brain treat randomness like it has a personality? And here is the first surprising truth. Your brain is not built to see reality. It is built to find meaning fast. Because meaning used to be survival. Long ago, if you saw a pattern and it was wrong, you were embarrassed. But if you missed a pattern and it was real, you might not survive. So the brain learned a bias. Better to detect too much than too little. This is the first quiet wow moment. Humans are not meaning neutral. We are meaning hungry. And that hunger is not a personality trait. It's built into the nervous system. Now, let's slow it down. A coincidence begins with two events. Event 1, something happens. Event 2, another thing happens. And they line up. Same time, same theme, same word, same number. Your brain immediately asks, are these connected? Because connection is what the brain does. And this is where the story becomes almost beautiful. Your brain is constantly building a model of the world, a model that says, this causes that. This predicts that. This belongs with that. Without this, life would feel like noise. So your brain works like a quiet editor. It groups, it organizes, it highlights. Now, here is the strange part. When two events match, your brain releases a small reward signal, a tiny click of satisfaction. Because pattern detection feels good. It feels like understanding, even before you truly understand. Second wow moment. The feeling of meaning often arrives before the explanation. So you can feel something is important without knowing why. That is why coincidences feel charged. They arrive with emotion before logic catches up. Now let's talk about the brain system behind this. It has many names in science, but we can keep it simple. It's your pattern machine, the part of your mind that searches for structure, even in randomness. And it runs constantly. When you're awake, when you're tired, when you're lonely, when you're hopeful, and especially at night. Because at night, your mind becomes more sensitive to signals. Now, a very important idea. Coincidences feel more personal when your brain is already in a state of searching. Searching for answers, searching for reassurance, searching for direction. Not because the universe is targeting you, but because your brain is. Third wow moment. Your brain doesn't just detect patterns. It also assigns them to you when you're emotionally engaged. So the same coincidence can feel neutral on one day and deeply meaningful on another. Now let's make this even more grounded. There are 3 reasons coincidences happen more than we expect. 1. There are more chances than we realize. 2. We remember hits and forget misses. 3. Our minds naturally connect themes. Let's take the first one. More chances than you think. Every day, you see hundreds of numbers, thousands of words, dozens of names. If a few line up, it feels impossible. But it's not impossible. It's math plus attention. Second, hits and misses. If you check the clock and it's 11:11, you remember it. If you check and it's 11:14, you don't. So your memory becomes a highlight reel. And highlight reels always feel magical. Third, themes. Your brain is not tracking the world as raw events. It's tracking themes. Love, loss, safety, danger, hope, rejection. So when a coincidence matches a theme, it hits harder. Now here's where part 1 ends, but we're about to go much deeper. Because the most interesting question is not, do coincidences happen? It's, why do they feel like messages? Why do they feel like the world is speaking back? In part 2, we'll explore the personal message feeling, how the brain builds a story, how confirmation bias works gently, and why certain coincidences feel almost impossible to ignore. And in part 3, we'll end with the calmest conclusion, how to enjoy coincidences without becoming trapped by them, how to let meaning be a warm feeling, not a pressure. For now, just notice this. Coincidences are real, but the feeling they create is your brain doing what it was designed to do, finding structure, in a world that contains both pattern and chance. Let's continue. Now we go to the center of the feeling. Why a coincidence can feel like a message. Not just a pattern, a message. And the moment it feels like a message, your brain changes its posture. It stops observing and starts listening. So here is the question. What makes the brain say, "This is about me"? The first answer is quiet and powerful. Your brain is a story engine. It doesn't only record events, it connects them into a narrative. Because narrative is how humans stay oriented. A story gives you cause, direction, meaning, identity, and a coincidence is a perfect story seed. Two dots that look connected, so your brain reaches for a line. This is the first wow moment of part 2. A coincidence is not only two events, it is an invitation for your brain to build a story. Now, the story can be harmless. Oh wow, funny timing. Or it can become heavy. Is the universe trying to tell me something? The difference is often not the coincidence. It's your state, your nervous system state, your emotional state, your level of uncertainty. When your life feels stable, coincidences feel cute. When your life feels uncertain, coincidences feel important. Because uncertainty creates a hunger for signals. That hunger has a name in psychology: sense-making. Your brain wants to reduce uncertainty, and one of the fastest ways to reduce uncertainty is to believe a pattern has meaning. Now let's talk about a gentle cognitive feature: confirmation bias. People often say it like an insult, but it's not an insult. It's simply how the brain saves energy. Confirmation bias means once you start suspecting a pattern, your attention looks for evidence that supports it, because attention is limited. So the brain chooses a direction, and then it gathers supportive details. Second wow moment. Attention is not a camera. Attention is a flashlight. It lights what it expects and leaves the rest in darkness. So when you notice 11:11 once, your brain flags it. Then your attention becomes slightly more likely to check at that time again. Not intentionally, but subtly, because you now have a target. And attention loves targets. Now, another mechanism, even more important for the message feeling: the brain's salience network. Salience means importance. Your brain is constantly asking, what matters right now? What should I focus on? What is worth remembering? When a coincidence happens, especially one connected to emotion. Your salience network marks it. It says, "This is important." And when something is marked important, it feels like a message, because messages are important things. Third wow moment. The feeling of "this is meaningful" is a brain signal, not proof. A signal, a tag, a highlighter. Now, why does that tag feel so personal? Because the brain uses self as an organizing center. You are the anchor point. So when something stands out, the brain naturally asks, "How does this relate to me?" It's not ego, it's navigation. Now let's do a calm example. Imagine you are thinking about a friend you haven't spoken to. You feel a small ache of curiosity, a small longing, a question. Then they text you. That feels like a message, because your emotional state was already tuned to them. So the coincidence lands on an active mental file. It lands on a hot surface, so it sizzles. Now the brain does something else. It compresses time. It makes the two events feel closer than they were. Thought, then text. It feels immediate, but maybe you were thinking about them for an hour and noticed only the last minute. Memory compresses, and the coincidence becomes sharper. Here's another gentle truth. Humans underestimate how often we think of people. We think of dozens, briefly, but we only remember the one that hit, so it feels impossible, even though the brain made many silent guesses, and you only saw the correct one. Now, why do coincidences often cluster, like they come in waves? Because once your mind becomes tuned to a theme, you start noticing that theme everywhere. This is not magic. It's called the frequency illusion, sometimes called the Baader-Meinhof effect. You learn a new concept, then you see it everywhere, not because it increased, but because your attention opened a new category. So after one coincidence, your attention becomes more sensitive, then more coincidences appear, and the story grows. Now we have to be careful, because there's a calm line we want to hold. We don't want to ridicule meaning. Meaning is human, and sometimes it's beautiful. But we also don't want meaning to become pressure. A coincidence should not become a command. So here's how we keep it healthy. We separate two things, enjoyment and certainty. You can enjoy the feeling without turning it into proof. Because coincidences can be genuinely useful. They can reveal what you care about, what you're searching for, what themes your mind is living inside. And that is real. Even if the universe wasn't sending a note, your brain was. In part 3, we finish with the best approach: how to stay curious without spiraling. How to let coincidences feel warm instead of heavy. Let's continue. Part 3. Now we land this gently. Because after all the science, we still want one thing: a calm relationship with meaning. Here is the simplest truth. Your brain is designed to find patterns. That design gives you intelligence. It also gives you the occasional illusion, and both are normal. So the goal is not to stop seeing coincidences. The goal is to hold them correctly, like a beautiful spark, not like a life instruction. Here is a calm way to do that. When a coincidence happens, do 3 things. 1. Notice the feeling. 2. Name the mechanism. 3. Choose the weight you give it. Notice the feeling. Interesting. Strange. Personal. Don't fight it. Fighting makes it bigger. Name the mechanism. My brain is highlighting a pattern. My attention is tuned to this theme. My mind is trying to reduce uncertainty. This is not dismissive. It's grounding. Then choose the weight. You can say, "This is a moment of meaning," without saying, "This is a message that controls me." That choice is where calm lives. Now, let's talk about a deeper thing. Why people sometimes become trapped by coincidences. It usually happens when life feels uncertain, when you don't have a clear next step, when you want reassurance. Your brain searches for external confirmation, and coincidences become tempting because they feel like confirmation. This is the second wow moment of part 3. Coincidences often feel strongest when you are craving certainty. Not because the world changed, because your need changed. So if you notice a phase of intense meaning searching, be kind to yourself. It often means you need stability, not signs. And stability can be simple: sleep, food, routine, movement, human connection. These reduce uncertainty. And when uncertainty drops, coincidences feel lighter again. Now let's give a clean science summary. That feels satisfying. Why coincidences feel personal? Because the brain is a story engine. The brain highlights patterns with emotion. Attention is a flashlight that follows expectation. Memory remembers hits more than misses. And uncertainty increases the hunger for signals. That's the whole mechanism. Not mystical, not cold, just human. Now, here's a gentle twist that makes this episode end beautifully. Even if coincidences are not messages from the universe, they are still messages from you. A window into what your mind values, what themes you're living inside, what your heart is scanning for. So if a coincidence keeps appearing, the best question is not, what does the universe want? The best question is, what am I paying attention to? What am I hoping for? What feels unresolved? Because that is actionable, and action reduces anxiety. So tonight, if you notice a coincidence, let it be a soft mirror, not a prophecy, a mirror, and then let it pass, like a spark on dark water, bright for a moment, then gone. In the next episode, we'll explore another quiet distortion of reality, a feeling that sounds like science fiction, but lives inside the brain. For now, stay gentle with your mind. It's not trying to fool you, it's trying to understand the world. Good night.